One of the things that I love that you talk about, and you've touched upon it a couple times now, is that during the menstrual cycle, women can change the way that they're viewing it to become a reflective period, as you put it, for stress management and life adjustments, which is pretty
Mhm.
revolutionary.
Yeah.
How has this practice of introspection and adjustment impacted women who you have worked with? And what are some things that a listener could do today to put this into practice for themselves?
Yeah. The number one thing I hear from the women that have either been they've been patients of mine, they've been private clients of mine, et cetera, is that nobody ever told them I have women that are like mid 40s, like deep in perimenopause, and no one ever told them about their cycle and how they can feel different. So I would say that the number one thing, if you are a woman or you are a man who loves a woman who's still cycling or she's in perimenopause or kind of around that menopause transition, is for her to track her cycle. However erratic it might be, it's just a data point. It's just a baseline. If you've never done it before, you just need some data. You need to understand how often you're cycling, if you're still regular, how long is it? What's your flow like when you do get your period? Can you feel when you're ovulating? Do you have any spotting around? Like there's so many different things information that you can begin to accumulate so that when you now go to your primary healthcare provider, you can arm them with the same information. Like so many women, we only have about the medical system is flawed. I have many colleagues who are medical doctors, love and respect them and revere their profession. And the way that it's set up is not for like they don't have 45 minutes to sit and chat with you. They have like you have maybe 10. So you have to be able to present them with the information in a succinct way. You need to be able to say, listen, for the past couple of years, my cycle has been 29 and a half days on the dot. And over the last several months now, it's at 26. And this is how my length has changed. My bleed week has changed. But you need to be able to give them that information because that's also going to color in their understanding of what's happening for you as well. So that would be the number one feedback that I've received from women is the data is so powerful. It informs their own. And I mentioned it briefly before that the data has given me permission to have a little bit more grace with myself and have a little bit more forgiveness with myself. And it can also help inform your healthcare, right? So you can bring this data to your primary healthcare provider and talk to them about some of the things that are happening. And you are now going to, by default, get better care, hopefully, because now your primary has more information to deal with. So that's the number one thing I would say. And I detail this a lot in the Betty Body. So for listeners who are wanting more details, certainly you can pick up the book for more information. But over the course of the cycle, and this is part of your original question, usually in the second half of the cycle, so the luteal phase, so after the woman ovulates, and particularly in the sort of mid third and into the fourth week, women can be more sensitive in that week. So I will make a joke and I'll say, every 4 weeks, my husband's chewing bothers me, you know? And it's like, I'm just more sensitive. I'm like, I'll look over at him. I'm like, do you always chew this loud? And every 4 weeks, it's like, it's a predictable pattern. Just my sensitivity to sound, to noise. I'm much more of a sensitive person. And of course, as soon as I get my period, I'm like, oh, that it wasn't his chewing. It was just where I was in my cycle. So, and hang my head. So I say that as a joke, but also if you find yourself in that fourth week ruminating on maybe it's not as simple as your husband's chewing is bothering you. Maybe there is an issue in your relationship that it continues to exist despite having conversations or despite trying to address it. This is another way that your body is telling you in the next cycle of your life, this particular piece, you should try to work on it and try to resolve it. So that might be a call that you're not having with your mother. That could be something that your friend said or continues to say to you that hurts your feelings. It could be something going on with your child, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So that time it's like the middle of the third week to sort of the middle of the fourth week, we are a little bit more, and I'll say exquisitely sensitive to stressors and unresolved items. So it's a beautiful time rather than, rolling our eyes and being like, oh, it's that time of month again, actually to quiet the mind a little bit and to listen to what are some of the things that are coming up so that you can begin to address them in the next cycle, literally, or in the coming months.